Hi guys, welcome to another product update video by us. And this time it's about Medblocks UI. I'm Dr. Purna.
Sidharth, Ramesh, and we are taking a look at what Medblocks UI is and just how you can use it in your own projects.
I think you should get started. Tell us, you created Medblocks UI, right? About 3 years ago or so. So why did you create it? What was it meant to do? What is it up to?
So when I created Medblocks UI, the openehr community didn't have a proper way, at least through open source, to create a composition. And it was quite hard to really create a composition. And the form libraries were mostly all proprietary or behind a paywall. So I mostly created Medblocks UI as a way to automatically generate forms given an openehr template. So it was mainly meant for structured data capture. So over time, I found out that it didn't quite, the automatically generated form didn't fit most use cases. And mostly, it kind of generates this generic looking form that doesn't work for most scenarios. So I kind of made it into a web component library instead of it just being one single app that converts templates into forms. It became a sort of a library that was able to with which you can build the apps that you want on top of openehr.
Right. So the first version, auto-generated forms. Now the second version that you iterated on was actually a powerful library that you could put together yourself. Now what is this new iteration we're at?
So today we are happy to announce that we are again going back to auto-generated forms. And this is Medblocks UI Autoform, and we are going to show how this works. Now this feature has been part of the Medblocks platform for a while, but then we are happy to announce that this feature is also going to be part of the open source Medblocks UI library. So let's dive in.
Yeah, so coming back to the documentation of Medblocks UI, right? We mentioned that it's a web component library supported across all modern browsers. It's W3 standards compliant. It supports all possible frameworks that you can use: React, Vue, Svelte, QuickJS, everything. Right? So how you get started simply is by adding a script tag that has the Medblocks UI JS and the theme, hence the CSS. Let me just quickly shift over to Replit where I'm going to show this demo. We have a CSS file here loaded in the head. We are also loading the JS file, right? Now, what I've gone ahead and done is created a component. I've written down the component called MB Autoform, right? What is this MB Autoform? It's a web component. And this web component is being referenced here. It has an ID. It's empty, of course, on the inside. Now, I've gone ahead and referenced that in my script again below, and then I've assigned it to nothing. And it should be assigned to a web template. Now, I've gone ahead and created a small demo web template that has a problem diagnosis and a body site. And the body site has a bunch of values, really simple, basic stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open I export this as a web template, and I'm going to take the web template, right? This is the whole web template. I'm going to copy the web template. I'm going to paste it here, right? Once I give it the value, I should be able to run this and see the auto form being generated. Now this auto form here, you can see it has a text field and has a bunch of fields, what body site the possible diagnosis is in. A really simple use case.
So this, again, it's coming from the openehr template, and it just picks the best possible component that it can display, and then it shows you that component. So it makes it easy for you to just pick an openehr web template and quickly build a form out of it and just start entering data in a matter of seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this works, right? This works. It's really simple. It's easy to iterate. Now we have a platform, the Medblocks platform, where this is a feature that comes baked in, which means if you can upload a template onto our platform, we can auto-generate forms for you directly out of the fly. We cut down your iteration time from, let's say, a couple of hours to maybe 10 minutes or even lesser, right? So let me show how that works right now. So I'll go to the forms. I'll go ahead and create a new form. I'm going to call this demo form.
Again, a form is a version of how you show a particular template. So there can be multiple forms that actually work on the same template. It's a pretty common use case. So here we'll upload the OPT, the operational template.
So I've uploaded the template, and you can see what happened, and you can also quickly get a demo of what the UI might look like, right? Same thing.
Again, it's exactly the same as the MB Autoform, which is also out in the open. Now you see that being generated inside the Medblocks platform here. So let's create that. Let's see if we can create a composition.
Yeah. So what I also have to do after creating a form is I have to assign myself the permission to be able to read, create, delete, all of that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Yes, the boring stuff.
Okay. So now that that's done, let me just go into a patient. I should be able to, right? Like neat, elegant, really fast. I'm going to say torso. No, let me just pick torso and I'm going to say, hey, he had pneumonia, something really simple. I'm going to save.
So that is a composition that got saved using the Autoform. Now there is, again, there is an export method and there is an import method that you can use. We have extensive documentation of how you can use this in your own open source, how you can use the open source version in your own projects. If you're using the Medblocks platform, it's just as simple as uploading the template and you'll be able to save a composition. Now, coming to the more interesting reason why we built Medblocks UI and how it integrates into the platform, we'll now go ahead and talk a little bit more about what else you can do. Now, again, this is a simple looking form, but what else can we do?
Okay, so let's make this easier to use. What if we showed the human body? Okay, and once the user clicks on a particular part, that automatically becomes a body site. That'd be really cool, right?
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But again, in a lot of times we see that clinically, some UI makes a lot of sense. And then being able to actually implement that makes a huge difference. So here we are looking at how we can do this. Yep.
So let me go ahead and define this as something called a body site. Okay, I'm going to call this the body site form. I have a bare bones svelte implementation that I'm going to show. You can replicate this in the framework of your choice. And we have demos and examples in our GitHub that you can find links below.
Yeah, and this is a template that we've already started off with, but there are templates available in other frameworks as well. So what are we doing now?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first thing is, of course, I'll open the same template, export it as a web template. I'm going to copy it and just store it so that I can get the VS Code extension, right?
And again, we have a VS Code extension that's also open source that helps you develop these forms quickly.
Right. So I'm going to copy everything I can find. Let me just start an MB form so that we can wrap all the components into one. I'm going to paste it.
So the MB Autoform does things automatically, whereas the MB form is more deliberate. You need to kind of provide it with information on what exactly you want shown. Yep. Renaming the, yep.
Yeah, I just renamed the template really. Okay. I think I didn't refresh, so okay. The VS Code didn't pick up. Okay, let me go again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the form in the VS Code extension.
Yep.
Right, we have a VS Code extension that's out in the open that you can use to generate the form. I'm going to paste it in place. Okay, now let's see what this looks like. Let me quickly get the dev server running. Okay, so exactly as intended, right?
Mostly like an Autoform, but then it lacks a lot of the styling that MB Autoform has. But we still need to wrap this all inside an MB form element, right?
Even before that, I want the body sites. Right now it's a select. I want this actually as buttons. Okay. It look really cool that way. So I can copy that, paste it onto there. Second I save, there we go. Really elegant, really simple.
So this again, you're able to pick and choose what you want. You can choose the feel of how something looks like. And all of that is possible, again, by these open web components. You can have your own components here if you want.
So let me go ahead and style this so that, it looks a little better, make it a bit smaller and so on. So
any CSS, JS, or HTML that is valid, you can also write a form using that and that will still work. Yep.
So what I also have to do is wrap all of these components in something called an MB form, the primitive that we use to submit the form and deal with it, okay? So I'm going to save, really simple, I've made it smaller, looks more elegant. So now I want to have a body site picker. Now I've gone ahead and generated a bunch of SVGs that do this already. So let me define a bunch of variables so that I can bind them to selected part. I'm going to keep this empty for now. And let's have a function called select part that takes in a part as a string and just assigns it to it. Really bare bones stuff. Okay. So this is the SVG I have. It's in the examples folder on the repo. You can look at that. So I'm going to copy the SVG. Right. I'm going to paste the SVG inside. Really simple. Okay. Now, yep, that renders are quicker. But however, it's not able to bind back to the body side, right? It's not changing. I'm selecting something, but let's get that to bind back. Yeah. Okay. So now how can we do that? First, let me create something called a form and reference it to that variable.
It's quite similar in any other framework that you use. The concepts are going to be very similar. We use Svelte because it's quite simple, and we mostly use it in Medblocks.
Right. And with that, I'm also going to add two more methods. One is called MB submit, another is called MB validate. Now you can find documentation on these, but MB validate, to summarize quickly, is that it's called before a form is submitted, so that if there are any validation issues, you can surface that to your user. And MB submit, when MB submit is called, you're supposed to return a valid composition. Now we are using Medblocks UI in this case, but you're open to use anything you want and customize it.
As long as you're able to export a composition, you are fine. And again, we are calling the form.export method here, but it's up to you. You can export a composition in any way you like, and it would still work with the platform. All it needs is, it's just looking for these functions.
Yeah. So in MB buttons, I'm going to go ahead and do this, which is that this is how we reference, a local terminology set as a value. So I'm going to say code value. We're going to have them as the same value. In this case, it's simple text, and the terminology is local terms since it comes from the template. Now, if I go ahead and refresh, and if I choose something, there we go.
Cool. Again, not very, it's cool, probably not very clinically relevant in this case. But again, we just wanted to show what's possible using something like Medblocks UI. The fact that you can take this out, build as much as you want, and then we're going to show it back in the platform.
Yep. Yeah. So now, once you're happy with your implementation, right? Once you're happy with whatever that works. So also let me define another method. So once the form gets submitted, we reset the form. So there's also something called MB reset. So I'm just going to keep this as an empty function for now. Bare bones example, it's totally cool.
Yeah, we could also do reset if you want. Yeah.
No, it's okay. We'll keep it simple for now. Okay. So now you can run npm run build, right? That's going to build your custom component. Okay, and it comes inside the dist folder. It's one index.js file that's generated. Everything you need is actually inside here. So now I'm going to go back to the platform. So last time you guys saw that the form had something called let me just show that quickly. The component we've chosen is Autoform, right? That means the form is being automatically generated. However, now we're going to use something called an external form, right? This is the form that's external JavaScript that's being injected. Now I'm going to go to, where was that? Medblocks, platform demo, dist, and index.js, right? Let it upload. Now for the web component tag, I have defined it at the top of the file called body site. So I'm going to choose that and paste that in.
And again, this can be anything they want.
Yeah, the tag can be defined as anything they want. You just need to know what it is. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to open the patient.
Okay, it's the same form, so we don't need to mess around with the permissions.
Yeah, that's really elegant, really. There we go. Really simple. Again, same thing works, right? Same exact JavaScript, just something we built just now. So what I'm going to go is, I'm going to...
It's cooler.
But it's cooler. And then this opens up a lot of applications, right? You can make your UI look the way you want, the way your clinicians want. So I'm going to say, the right leg, here's a chronic ulcer. I'm going to go ahead and save that, right? Really simple. That's okay. So this is really cool, and this is the application that we wanted to show. You can build your own forms. You can either auto-generate it quicker, or you can use the library as it exists right now and extend it to be used inside the use case you care about.
Yeah, and again, the way we have built Medblocks UI is that you can kind of use it in your own projects yourself, and there is no dependency on the Medblocks platform. But then if you're already using the Medblocks platform, it is just so much easier to build these other components and then put them in. and it just works very, it's pretty simple. And we have a scaffolding for almost all of the major libraries out there, including React, Vue, and this was in Svelte. So yeah, we hope that this demo with Medblocks UI and this new release where we are also releasing Autoforms is useful to you. And again, if you are interested in the work that we are doing, just like hit us up. I'll leave a contact address down below. Really looking forward to hearing from you on the work that we're doing, and if you're doing something similar, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, now before we cut away, I just want to show you another powerful feature and a really cool feature we have, something we're calling the read-only component, again, based on the web component abstraction. So if I go to the same form and I have my own read-only component, you can also render the form back as you want, right? That's the other really cool feature that you have. You can render the form and its values back. You don't need to just be plain text. It can be diagrams. It can be other things that you demo.
Right. Now here it's the same SVG, but then it can be a graph if you want. It can be anything that you want. And again, you can put together any set of web components that make the most sense for you in that use case, and combined with the openehr templates and combined with the styling that you want, you can get an EHR that works for you instead of changing the way you work to fit your existing EHR. So yeah, reach out if you're
interested.
And again, in Medblocks UI is completely open source, and you can check it out in medblocks/medblocks-UI on GitHub. And we'll leave a link to all of this down below. So yeah, see you next time.